Our society has daddy issues, and it's Father's Day. How do we celebrate Father's Day when we got daddy issues? So our society is broken. When it comes to fathers, you look at representations of fathers in the media, in the culture, in publishing and representation. Dads are seen as protectors and providers and authoritative figures who are guiding and leading their family, hopefully in good ways. Now when we look at fathers in our culture, we see incompetence, we see juvenile behavior, we see toxic behavior in fathers, and it's often shown by the media as the representation of those things.
If you're an adult male who sees no flaws in his father, you're an insane person.
We are told over and over again that fathers are not important, that fathers are deadbeat, that fathers are failing. All of these things have an element of truth in our society. The Bible, in Proverbs, it says, "Many a man proclaims his own steadfast love, but a faithful man who can find?" This is Proverbs 20, verse 6. When a culture tells you that you're not important, tells you that if you are doing the things that make you important, like protecting and providing, makes you toxic, this is going to drive people to devalue fathers, fathers included. In fact, according to Pew Research, 43% of fathers do not see their role as a father as an important part of their identity. Texas Department of Corrections, a study found this, 85% of youth in prison, they grew up in a fatherless home. This is our greatest problem. And that's because 1 in 4 kids, 18.4 million people in the United States, live without a dad.
Well, I have no dad.
So how do we as a culture celebrate Father's Day when our state of fatherhood is so sick? Now I want to take a minute and say there are many good fathers out there, and keep doing what you're doing, dads. I'm a dad. I love my kids. I'm there for my kids. I am committed to my family for my kids. I love my wife. I'm not leaving my wife because God's told me not to. I've made a covenant. Those are good enough reasons. But a primary reason that has been added on to that is I don't want my kids to not have a father in their home. So those are things that drive me and hopefully drive you as well. And I believe are God-given and God-ordained reasons for a father to be present. A father is an authority figure. A father is a protector and a provider. There should be strength. There should be desire for a father to solve problems and to provide means and to educate and to pass knowledge on. These are things that a dad should be driven to do because that is how God has created us to act. How do we counter that? Well, I think there's 2 ways. One, if you've got a good dad, let him know. If you've got a good dad and you appreciated what they were doing, let them know that you appreciated that they stood in the gap, that they were there to protect, that they were there to provide. Ask your dad for advice. Let him know that you value his wisdom that he has grasped in his lifetime. The other thing is you might not have a good dad. You might actually be standing there and thinking, you know what, my dad was terrible. He was toxic, he was abusive, or he was absent, or you might have grown up in the homes without a dad in it. And one of the things I want to tell you is don't allow your dad and his failures to define what fatherhood is. One of the things that I think has been so amazing to see in my life is many young men and young women who have come into the church and found spiritual fathers, men who have stood the gap for people and kind of become a father to that person. That is a great way to stand against what the culture tells us about dads. Go and find a spiritual father. To do that, you've got to be involved in a church. You've got to be looking and praying, and you've got to find somebody who do that. If you are a dad, do that to other people in your church. Be on the lookout. Who could you be a spiritual father to and fill that gap of absence as God has placed us in this society, in this culture, to make a difference. If you have a deadbeat dad, if that's something that plagues you, is you don't just have a physical father.
What you talking about, Willis?
You also have a spiritual father who is God. And this is what is behind all of this anti-dad cultural push to degrade dads and devalue dads, because God the Father is the perfect father. And if the enemy can unravel that in our cultural values, then that will lead us to all of these statistics that we were looking at. With 72% of population believing fatherlessness is our biggest problem, they are right. So I'm going to leave you with this for you men who are out there, whether you are a dad currently, whether you could be a dad in the future, or maybe you are a dad and have failed at that. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 7 says this. It says, the righteous who walks in his integrity, blessed are his children after him. If you decide to walk in integrity, that's the critical part of being a dad. So as you go out on this Father's Day and the days preceding and coming after that, walk in integrity. Stand against the forces of darkness that are coming against you and are coming against your family and coming against other families. Stand firm to make a difference. Go and provide and protect and lean into the things that God has given you as a man. Do that, and not only will it be a great Father's Day, but we will impact the culture around us. God bless you guys. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Happy Father's Day to dads who have been doing it and sticking with it, going to work each day, doing those basic things, coming home at night, tucking your kids in, discipling them on a daily basis. Those are the things that are going to bear so much fruit in the future, not just in your kids, but in our culture and for the glory of God. So keep it up, and good at you guys. God bless.